Right? Recording. Okay.
Glad I came prepared.
It's literally
Show
not
up
going to go
as you
anywhere.
are. Show up as you
Okay.
are.
So here's what you need to do. I'll show you how to get to collections first. So if you go to your little face at the very bottom of your Instagram. Oh, see, I'm already on mine. Hold on. I got to back out of this so I can show you the right way.
Sorry, quick question. Do you have to have a business account to do this?
No, I have a personal account.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So you go to your little face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, I'm already here. And then you go to the 3 lines at the top. And then you'll see the one that says saved. You click on that. And then that opens any post that you've ever saved. And the way that you save a post is like, oh, look, Brian Fearinga, we know him, is this little thing on the side. If you hold it down, it'll ask you where you want to save it to. So once you have collections, they will show up here. And then you would click, oh, I want to save it to my May challengers, or I want to save it to stories that I want to share. If you just tap it, if you just tap it, it goes black and it just saves to a general junk folder, basically. So if you want to save it to a specific collection, you touch it, hold it down, and then it, whoops.
And then you can add it to a previously made collection, or you can create a new one right then.
Right. Yeah. So let's just pretend I'm starting a new month. This works well because that Brian's on the top here. So let's say that it's the end of May and I've invited my May people and we're starting a new month of June. And this person here is somebody that I feel like I would connect with. So what I would do is I would go to their page. So I'd click on their name. Whoops. Sorry, it's really hard to do backwards. I'd click on their name and then I'd go to their first post, like their most recent post. And then I would hold it down and I would say save to, and then you see this plus sign. I'd click the plus sign. Freaking A. Hold on. I'd hit the plus sign. And then it says new collection. So then I'm going to name it June Connects. Oops. So I just typed it right down here. And then I'm going to hit save. So now that's one of my collections. And then what I would do is I would go to this person. I would go up to this person who I am not following and I follow them. So basically what I'm doing every day is I am going to accounts that like bigger accounts that are not Beachbody coaches that, for whatever reason, I enjoy them, I connect with them. And I am looking at posts that speak to me for whatever reason. And then I'm looking at people who have commented on that post. Because a lot of times those bigger accounts will have 500, 2,000, a crap ton of likes. So going through the likes, and some of those are robo likes, but when someone actually comments, they're actually engaging with it, I feel like. So I'm going to the people who commented. And so let me just, so in my collection, I actually have one that says find followers here. So if I find somebody just in Instagram that, wow, maybe somebody shared somebody else's post or whatever, and I see them and I like them, I'll add them to that collection. So then I can just go here and I'm going to go to this girl. This is Cat and Nat. I don't know. And I'll click on Cat and Nat and I'll look through and find a post that, okay, I don't know. I'm not really looking at these, but I'll find a post that I resonate with. And then I'll go to, there's 162 comments. And then I'll basically start clicking on these people. Okay, this one's private, so I'm not going to mess with her. And then I go to the next one, private. And you'll see that a lot. A lot of people are private. But eventually you'll find one. So, okay, here's one that's not. And she says she's from Toronto, Ontario. She likes blogging. She shares her passion for cooking and decorating, food, travel, lifestyle. She only has 170 followers, so she's not some big wig, whatever. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on her most recent post. I'm going to go over to this little ribbon. I'm going to hold it down. And then I'm going to find June Connects. And I'm just going to tap it. And it adds it right to that collection. Then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to her thing and I'm going to follow her. And that's all I do. I'm doing that every morning, 10 people. I started doing 25 a day, but when I tell you what I do next, you decide how many you have time for.
So you add 10 new people every day.
I add
to
10 new
your
people
June Connect.
to whatever that month is. So technically right now I'd be adding them to May Connect. But I would say like when I start inviting to May, I stop adding to May and I start adding to June. So once I start inviting for that month, which I'll tell you about in a second, then I'm going to start adding to the next collection because I'm not going to be inviting. Okay, so okay. So all month long, starting like the last week of May, I will start adding to my June collection. My June collection are the people I'm going to connect with for all of June. And then the last week of June, I'm going to invite them to my July group. So once I get to that last week of June, I'm not going to keep adding people to that. Does that make sense? Because I don't really have time to connect with them to make it feel natural to invite them. And even when I get to the end of the month, if there's people that I just started connecting with maybe a couple days before I started inviting, and I feel like, wow, we really haven't interacted very much, I can just take them out of that month's collection and slide them to the next month's collection if that feels more genuine. And I have had that, like I had a few people that I was connecting with and then they got COVID. And I was like, it doesn't feel right to invite them while they're, fighting a fever and trying to breathe right now. And so I just slid them down to June I slid them to May. So these were people I was connecting with in April. So I took them out of my April collection and I put them into my May collection. And now I'm just continuing to connect with them. Now they're feeling better. They're done with COVID. They're back to living their regular life. We're connecting on normal things. So by the end of this month, it'll feel like, okay, feels like a genuine, we've connected. That invitation doesn't feel slimy, where it would have felt like I'm just inviting to get a number of invites out. Does that make sense? So essentially I'm adding 10 people every day. And then what I'm doing after I do that is I'm going into, let me go back here, sorry. Okay. So once I've added the way I just showed you, then I go into my collections. So what I did this morning, I would go into my May collection and I just start at the top because it filters it your newest added ones all the way to your oldest added ones. So if you're adding 25 a day, you're going to have a lot in here, which is why I started at 25 and I moved back to 10. So I would go to my very first one. So I already did these people this morning and now I have a feed. This is the first one. This is the next one. This is the next one. But to get to their actual feed, then you just click on their name. And then I see, okay, so this is when I saved her. This is when I started following her because she's a new follow. Well, she has a new post. So I click on it. I've liked it. I've already commented on it. I don't comment on everything. I only comment if it makes sense in my brain. I will typically like everything unless it's like, I don't like that. Then I won't like it. Like I'm not pretending. But I will go and look at any new posts since the last time because I don't do it on the weekend. So especially on Monday, it feels like there's more to look at. But I'll look at whatever is new. I'll like anything that feels like I would like it. I will comment on anything. And then if they have stories, I will look at their stories. I try to do more interacting on stories than on their actual posts because then, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. I try to do more connecting and interacting with them on their stories than on their posts because what I found when I started it, I wasn't really paying attention to their stories. Like stories seemed frivolous and extra, but I was making sure I commented on their posts. Well, then when I went in to invite them, there was nothing in that message thread because we had kind of chatted back and forth on posts, kind of. And so they may or may not have remembered me commenting back and forth on their posts. I don't know. But so then now that I've started interacting with stories, like we can have more of a conversation back and forth. So I'll sometimes comment on the post and then if I have a question, I'll put the question into the message thread, or I'll make sure that if I'm interacting with stories. So then when I get to invites, it's like, oh, look, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. We've been chatting for the last 3 weeks or whatever. And it doesn't seem so out of left field, like, oh, blank space. And then she messaged me. Does that make sense? Because when you're interacting with stories, it goes in their inbox, as opposed to posts. It's just a comment on the post. So basically what I will try to do every single day is I will add 10 new people, and I will try to get through my entire collection for that month. Now, the later it gets in the, like right now, I'm spending about an hour each morning, and I can do that. I can find new followers and I can connect. The later that it gets in the month, there are obviously more people in that collection, and I can't get through all of them. But I just find time later in the day, like I'll make a mental note, okay, here's, or maybe you don't have time more than an hour, and so then the next day you'll start where you left off, so that every few days you're connecting with everybody in that collection. So I'm trying to think of what else to say specifically about that.
So every day you're finding new connects, and those are your new people that you're following each day. So your new followers, and you're connecting with them and adding them to that current month's connects, and then you're done with that, and then you go into the current connects, that feed, and you're going to their stories or to their posts and liking and commenting as you think that you should.
Yeah, so like if you add them first and then you go into the collection and you start at the top and you work your way down, then you're going to start with those people you just followed. So it's not like you randomly followed them and then you didn't interact with them at all. So if you follow people and add them to the collections, 10 or whatever your number is, and then once you've done that, you go back into the collection, you start at the top, and you just work your way as far down as you can, looking at whatever their newest post is and whatever their stories are. And then, there are some times where it's like, wow, these people never post, they never go in their stories. And eventually I'll be like, you know what, I can't even interact with them, and I'll just remove them. Or maybe there's somebody who, like, for whatever reason, like there's this one person that I'm on the fence about not like unfollowing essentially, but she's like super political, and I'm just not about that. And there's a lot of things that she posted I can totally relate to, but then there's this part of her that's super political. And so I'm kind of on the fence, but I may just unfollow and remove her from the collections and whatever. So you will sort of whittle it down as you connect with people. And then it'll feel like, wow, I've got some actual new friends. And Becky and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, to her, it just feels like you're putting all this time into it. But honestly, I feel like it has made me enjoy that connecting, inviting process, because I'm being picky. Like when I click on somebody, I will look through and, like, if all they're posting is their dog, I don't like dogs that much. I'm not going to follow you. Like, and the more that we interact every day, every other day, I feel like I'm really getting to know people, and they're commenting on my stuff and they're interacting with my things. And it just feels like more of a genuine engagement. And then when I'm going at the end of the month, it doesn't feel icky. And if it feels icky, either I need to unfollow them and remove them, or I need to move them to the next month until I can connect with them more and then invite them. So, okay, so you spend the whole month adding to May. So right now I'm adding 10 people to May. I'm connecting with my May people. So then the last week of May, I'm going to go through same way I would on my connects, but I'm going to start inviting them. And essentially it'll take me, like, depending on how many are in that collection, it'll take me maybe 2 weeks, the last week of May and the first week of June, to get through inviting all of them, simply because Instagram will stop you after you've sent a certain number of messages. I should count at some point to see how many it stops you at, but you can go back that same day and do more, but I just don't always have time to do that. So it's like a super simple message. And like I told both of you before, sometimes I'll get people back that are super anti what I've sent them, and other people are like, sign me up right now. So I don't know if you say that's working or not working, but yeah.
Can I ask one clarifying thing just to make sure? I think you probably said it, but let's say, for example, I went into my collection that I have saved for pages I want to go back to and follow their followers or follow people that have commented on their posts. Okay, so that's where I am right now.
Mhm.
So I find a girl, I'm like, oh, I want to engage with her. So I found her in the comments of somebody that I like. So I click on her name, and then do you follow them first or save a post to your collection first, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. So like what I'm doing is finding them, following them, going to the most recent post and saving it to my May Connects, and then being done. And when I get through 10 or however many, then I will go into my May Connects collection and I will start going from the top and engaging.
Yep, and those top ones will be the ones you've just followed.
I just want to make sure that I wasn't like missing something. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And honestly, like the invite that I've been sending, I think might even change to be more simple after the national wake up call yesterday. Like I think the way that I'll end it, I liked how she said, you know, would it be okay if I send you information instead of are you interested? I liked how she did that. So, I mean, it's just a super simple. And then, so I will do that with everybody. And then I'll still try to get through, like if I'm inviting them, I'm still sort of, when I'm on their page to invite them, try to connect a little bit somehow. Does that make sense? Like I don't ever stop connecting with them, but it definitely sort of, the more there are, the more spaced out the connections get. But then, so let's say, let me go back here. Saved. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my April. So these are all the people in April that still have not responded. Okay. So, I mean,
To your invite.
right. They've said nothing. So I'm going to leave them in there. If, let's say, this girl responds and she says, no, I'm good, thanks. You hold this down and it pops up and you'll see, where is it? She's checked as an April challenger because that's when I was inviting her. I would uncheck that, go back and hold it again. So now she's not on April anymore. And I'm going to add her to follow up, said no for now. So I have it in my Trello, like my to-do list. Sorry, I'm just putting her back to April. That every Thursday I'm connecting with my follow-ups. So on Thursday, I will go in to this collection that says follow-up said no for now. And I will connect with any of them that, and sometimes I'll just, be wasting time and I'll just be looking at stories. And so I've already seen some of their stories, or I've scrolled through and I've seen some of their posts. But that is literally every month I can go back to them and say, hey, I've got a new group this month. I know it didn't work for you last month, whatever. So that's my follow-up pool. So at the end of this month, I can invite them again, or, if it makes sense, is like I was looking through that pool yesterday of like, okay, who in here could I invite to the free group? Who, would it make sense? And so that's basically it, I think. Yeah, I've really tried to unfollow anybody. I really don't follow a lot of people personally on my Instagram anymore, or other coaches, because I do feel like if I pick up my phone and I just like, because I'll do that, I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to kill time as I fall asleep. Well, now the people at the top, my stories and my feed is all people that I'm connecting with for the most part. There's a few people that are still personal, I guess, but so I can see why people would want to have a personal Instagram and then a totally business Instagram. But I think that's it.
That's simple enough. I think I got it. I think I just need to do it a few times and then it'll kind of like get into a rhythm.
And I think, and I think the other rhythm to get into is to say like, okay, so I have all of these, I have March people. So I started this in March. So I have all of these March people that I have connected with, I invited, that never responded. So I need to find like, And I'm still figuring this out. Like, do I do that on Tuesdays? And then on Wednesdays, I do my April people. And Thursdays, I'm doing my follow-up people. So I'm every day, I'm connecting with the current month, but like one day a week, I'm doing previous ones. I need to figure that rhythm out because, but it is, I mean, the more people you add to it, that's why the more people you add, but then you feel like you're constantly connecting with people. And I don't know, through those connects, I figured out which pink hair color I wanted to buy. You know,
There you go.
We good?
God's thrilled about that.
Can we stop recording? Are we good?